Sexy women, you think of me. David Sept, he would be the obvious replacement for this. So we welcome to the Sexy Sick Chic Lit with Kim Clark and Michele Levy. As it says in the program, they bring you Sexy Sick Chic Lit, their own brand new genre. It's steamier than September, humorous as Hades, and sicker than, well, sick. Kim Clark, who lives with multiple sclerosis, tackles the disease in readings from her first short fiction collection called Attemptations. Michele Levy shares her life before, during, and after her diagnosis of both breast cancer and Parkinson in her memoir, Most of Me Surviving My Medical Meltdown. A Valiant Vagina. Sultry flossing? It's kind of creepy putting those two together, actually. You're still working on that one? I'm just mixing those two together. What? Get your double dose of these new literary meds in these Raunchy, Sassy, and wise books. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kim and Robyn.
Yeah, if you're going first, why don't we do that? We'll start out with that one. Do you mind if I do that? I'm going to pull this one off and start out with that one. So if you're not reading at the same time, that would be crazy. Right? That would be like, get more reading and more time for Q&A. So here, can we just switch? This one? Turn that off. Is you're going first?
Yeah.
Okay.
We can kind of put it back and forth. Actually, we'll sit down for the first one.
Okay. And we'll sort of this mic. There you go. I'm going to do that today. So, and what I told both the ladies, because I run a tight ship, is I will hold up a little timer so they can see how they're going to. We need time for questions from you guys. So I won't stop them or anything, but I'll just hold it up so that they can sort of monitor how much time. Because apparently some of those earlier writers and authors were going long, right? So it's called the backlog. So. Okay.
Don't make them go short.
I won't make them go short at all. No, I will only hold up the time so they can see it. They judge it. I will not do that at all. All right, I think we are ready. We'll start at the other microphone once again. Can we have another round of applause?
Thanks for coming, everybody. Robyn's going to start things off, but we're going to talk a little bit about how we met, which is kind of unusual.
We were both invited to the Sunshine Coast Festival of the Written Arts, and we were the emerging artists, and it seemed to us that we were also the sick artists, the sick writers. So we decided to call ourselves the Sexy Sick Chic Lit.
They kind of put us together, and we were kind of joking about, like, we're the gift girls, but they did it so beautifully and sensitively. It was, do you feel okay about, reading with another person that, So anyway, it worked out great. We have a great friendship now, so it's wonderful.
And we also, in our writing, talked about sexuality and humor, so we have a lot of commonalities in that respect.
So, go ahead.
I think I'm going to sit down for this because I just want to. When you have two diseases, you can do whatever you want to do. So when I started out writing, before this book was published, I never wanted to write a book. I just decided I needed to write little stories to cheer up family and friends because I was sort of one calamity after the other. First I was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and then with breast cancer, and then I had my breast removed, and then shortly after I was going to have my fallopian tubes and ovaries removed. It's an oophorectomy, but if you say it with a French accent, like oophorectomy, it sounds actually really sexy. But it's not a very sexy disease. So I started writing these little cheerful updates to family and friends, and they loved it. And then eventually it sort of hit the desk of a publisher in town, Gravestone Publishing, and they said, would you like to write a memoir? And I thought, why not? I had no idea how to do that, but it came very, not easily, but it was a really interesting process and very valuable, and I think it took my mind off of many things that allowed me to process things. So the story basically is about my experience as a mid-40s mother. I was working at CBC at the time as a radio broadcaster, and my prime symptoms at the beginning of Parkinson's were depression, and eventually it became physical, not swinging my arms, and it took a while till I got diagnosed. So I'm going to read you a little part from the book, which it's from the beginning, so it's shortly after my diagnosis, where I'm not using my left arm is not swinging and not very functional, but I know I have Parkinson's. I'm not on any medication yet, and the things to remember here is just that we have really nice neighbors, and I have an internal character called the Cry Lady. Can everybody hear okay? Yeah. My left hand is on hiatus. Its fingers have turned to stone. They look like frozen French fries ready to be cooked. The very sight of them makes my Cry Lady weep. Farewell, manual dexterity, she moans. I sympathize with her sorrow, but she's overreacting. My right hand is still nimble-fingered. I remind her of that and how lucky I am. So far, only the left side of my body is affected. It could be years before Parkinson's migrates. Plus, I'm not taking any medication yet. This consoles my Cry Lady for now, but I can tell that she's still shaken up. Compared with her, I'm adjusting remarkably well to the new and worsening me. It turns out most activities I do can be done with one hand. Emptying the dishwasher, working on the computer, doing the laundry, shampooing my hair, even walking the dog. And when I need a helping hand with chores, chopping vegetables or folding towels, I just wave my tragic wand and poof, my husband Bergen turns into my sous chef, and my daughter Naomi my girl Friday. They are so loving and so loyal, they'd be crushed to find out that I am even thinking of asking our neighbor for help. But in the bathroom, I have heard the sound of one hand flossing, and it's not pretty. Not unlike that sound. Neither is the spell it has cast on my sexual fantasies. It's late at night. I'm lying in bed, sliding my tongue back and forth, slowly, smoothly across my teeth. Bergen is next to me, sound asleep. My tongue stumbles on something stuck between my molars. A kernel of corn? A smidgen of chicken? I can't be sure, but whatever it is, it must be removed. So I slither silently out of bed, creep down the stairs and slip out the front door. My Victoria's Secret nightgown flutters in the wind. Bursting with desire, I limp lasciviously across the street. A tiny gasp escapes my lips. There he is, my neighbor, Will, the dentist. I can feel my heart throbbing and my knees go weak. We stand beneath the full moon and glittering stars, staring deeply into each other's teeth. Until finally I whisper, "Floss me, Will, floss me." And he does. One of the interesting things about my memoir is that most of the people that I present in the memoir are actually the real people. I asked permission if I could use their name or change their name, whatever they wanted. And when I asked Helen, his wife, she said, "Oh, please, you must use his name. I want everyone in the world to know that another woman is fantasizing about my husband." And when I asked, and Will basically just met me in the middle of the street, handed me back the manuscript, and it was nighttime, and he pointed, "There's a moon." And then he handed me a little, package of dental floss, and he had the biggest smile on his face, so he was quite pleased with himself. How are we doing for time?
We need a bigger car.
Oh, sorry.
So I guess I have one more. So speaking of fantasies, one of my favorite TV personalities is somebody I have a crush on, and it happens like this. I have a confession. I'm seeing another man almost every night. He has baby blue eyes and manly tattoos, and when he talks, I glisten. He's charming and funny and sexy and smart. He's married, but so am I. He's smutty, and I am smitten. It took me by surprise. It was my dad who introduced me to him while Bergen and Naomi were away. We were watching the evening news, then my dad changed channels, and there he was, gazing into my eyes, extending his arms, smiling seductively. Welcome to the Late Late Show. I'm your host, TV's Craig Ferguson. His mellifluous voice melted my heart. I'm a sucker for Scottish brogues. He had my vagina with his monologue, and then he had the rest of me when he pulled out his puppets. This unrequited lust can't last forever, but it sure feels good for now. And so I wait with bated breath for Craig to cross my border and plunge his patriotic flagpole into my soil, hopefully before my mastectomy. And when he does, I'll say, it's a great day for Canada.
I gotta find a spot. Down a little bit. Little down, close. Really fussy about this. No, it's because I don't want to move once I start. Anyway, thanks, Robyn. That was great. Unlike Robyn, I write fiction and poetry, and I do write about mostly women and mostly with some kind of disability. So my short fiction collection is all about those things. But in that collection there is one novella about a woman with MS who's about 40. And that particular novella has been optioned for a feature film. And there's a producer here in the audience. Thank you for coming there. And also I've written a play that was a finalist in the BC scriptwriting competition, which is also based on that same character. I have also taken that character into a novel that I'm working on now, and hopefully that'll be out maybe next year. So I'm kind of excited about that. She's sort of the most obnoxious one and the sexiest one, and sometimes in the fiction, of course, situations arise in my real life that jump into the fiction, and you can't really help that. One of the things in that story that doesn't happen is, in my own life, is that that character is told that she only has, her body's only capable of having 6 more orgasms. So she's in a dilemma. She's single, she's 40, she's got MS, she's got a lot of problems, and now she's got this new number that she's got to deal with. So she goes on a bit of a quest and becomes rather obsessed with sexuality and satisfaction and all that. But she gets into these predicaments, and this is a story that's actually going into the novel I'm working in. And I hate kind of to admit that this was based on a real life experience, but it was based on a real life experience. So she's 40, she's single, she only has a few orgasms left. She has a hand that misbehaves. It has a mind of its own. It has a character of its own. It talks. It's rude. It may show up in this little story. I almost make it back to the 6th floor elevator before the lights go out. It's not totally black, just dim and eerily quiet and panic-making. A few heads pop out of doorways. There's a flurry of reassurance. It's the wind, they say. I wait 20 minutes watching over the balustrade as others calmly take the stairs to the main exit. I go back to the well-heeled receptionist. She's apologetic while we discuss my dilemma and the fact that the power outage is expected to last several hours. She assures me that the fire department will arrive shortly. The fire department? Holy shit. So this is how I'm going to go. I start to stiffen up with fear and dread. She assures me there's no fire. I relax a bit. And she explains the firemen will get me out. No problem. No problem. When the 5 firemen appear, they're too wonderful for words. I mean, all those mustaches and uniforms and, well, firemen. But there is a problem. I start to stiffen up all over again, and it's not from fear. A little crowd has gathered. The mustaches explain how one of them will carry me down over his shoulder. I say, no way. I point out that while I'm not a giant, I'm no featherweight either. Plus I wore a freaking skirt. Over the shoulder is out. They discussed alternatives amongst themselves, the pros and cons of the one-handed seat carry and the two-handed seat carry, while they check out my body and ask me what it can and can't do. Practical but weird. They decide that 6 flights of stairs makes those particular carries too tricky. They settle on the 2-man fore and aft. Sounds smexy and awkward. They explain as they go, first getting me up to standing. Then Mustache 1 snuggles up behind me and slides his arms in under mine and wraps them around my chest. Whether it's due to the anxiety of being picked up physically or the close proximity of these lovely, spectacular men, my body goes into plank mode. I have to convince it over and over to relax. The crowd is getting bigger and more curious, and no wonder. I'm pretty curious myself. Mustache 2 backs up to my front. It's very cozy. He leans down and picks up my legs and wraps them around his waist. Oh my. And I wore a freaking skirt. There's a bit of adjusting, and away we go with a mustache spotter before and behind us, and another mustache brings up the rear carrying my scooter. I look up when we get down to the 5th floor and wave to the crowd. They clap. My bad hand pinches Mustache 2 on the butt. Someone whistles before I get it under control. I apologize profusely to my mustaches, and I thank them and try to be less heavy the rest of the way down. I'm delivered out into the wind, and so is my scooter. The mustaches even escort me past the flashy red fire truck to my van and tuck me and my equipment in. Mustache 1, my aft man, passes me my purse and my scarlet folder just as a blast of wind hits. My folder and papers lift and scatter, and all 5 mustaches scramble about to retrieve them. They stuff the works back into the folder, all apologetic. Never mind. I thank them some more as they wave me out onto the street. Best mustache ride ever. Okay, so we've got lots of time.
So we want to do questions?
Yeah, I think, yeah. Has anybody got any questions?
If you have any questions, by either Kim or Robyn, about their work.
Or about sex.
Or about sex.
We can talk about sex, we can talk about MS, we can talk about Parkinson's, we can talk about anything. Yeah.
Have you done a lot of readings together?
This is our second,
Yeah, second one.
but we would like to do a lot more.
Well, it works, right? We're both funny and nice compliment.
Great,
Thank you.
very much. Yeah, it's great. We it was really fun when we met and we did the thing at the festival, and we just had a blast on stage. Really, it was like a little party on stage, and it was another wonderful audience, and that makes a huge difference. But we've managed to keep our connection going. So thank you very much.
Any other questions? Either or?
Does anybody know anybody that has MS? Does anybody else have MS?
One.
Good to know. There's somebody here. How about Parkinson's? Well, here we go.
Breast cancer?
Breast cancer, any kind of cancer. Oh, yeah. Everybody knows somebody that's got it. if it isn't you. So.
But anyway, I just wanted to use it as a comment. Being alive and normal and having a good time. I have those things.
I wouldn't want to go so far as to say normal. I hoped never to be called normal.
Well,
actually. I know. Yeah.
Like being bigger and like the tribe of outside of.
So the question, the response is,
How did you get there?
how did we get to our place of our perspective?
Yeah.
For
A
me,
lot of sex.
There you go.
well, I can't say that was my route. But I think that I was raised in an environment when I was a kid. There was a lot of humor, and then I'm an artist. I've been working in the field as a painter, as a writer, and broadcaster, and I just have a way of looking at life and seeing things that perhaps are not necessarily special, but if you look at it in a certain way, you can make it that way. And I don't laugh. Not everything is funny. I have my down days, but when things are going well, I would prefer to be in the happy zone. Self-pity doesn't really do much.
Well, I think both are writing. There is darkness in there for sure. There are serious moments and days and years in some of the stories. But I think that makes the humor sweeter. So, hopefully there's a balance in there.
Did you find that the writing itself, when you started writing your project, that also helped, like some journaling or something, or sitting thoughts out of your head, which is probably where a lot of depressions are from. Did you find that?
I think it's the vagina.
The vagina.
No, in my case, having to reveal a lot of the icky stuff was really hard to do. My editor she kept saying, dig deeper, and the more I did, the more honest I had to become, and then I would have to consult my husband and my daughter because they were the ones that bore the brunt of a lot of the shit that was flying around when I was depressed. And they would say, it's not quite, it was worse than that. So I had to just be more honest, and that kind of makes you vulnerable and brave at the same time.
I think too, when you get a diagnosis of something serious, chronic, like you're going to be with that for the rest of your life, that it gives you a different sense of observation maybe. When you put the words to paper, then I think that you not only see yourself, but you see others around you in a different way. Maybe more empathy.
We have time for one more question.
A double-barreled one. You both have websites?
We both have websites.
Gee, thanks for asking that.
Are you a plan question?
I'm at KimClarkWriter.com. You can find.
Yeah, you can find me at Robyn Levy, ROBYNLEVY.ca. Click on blog, and I do a lot of blogging. And I have a lot of characters, and I do my artwork as well as some poetry, and just, I'm not a consistent, I'm not your typical blogger. I don't do what you're supposed to do, which is be consistent. I just do whatever I want to do. And have fun, yeah.
I'm not a blogger at all. I am just not. But we also have a website, Sexy Sick Chic Lit, where we both pop in and out of there. So come by, leave us a note or comment or whatever, and we do try and keep up with that one. They're short but sweet blog.
Yeah.
As you know, the authors will be at the signing tent, and you can purchase their books there. And I think I'd like to thank you both for being here.